Hello, friends.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back. How was your week? Let us know. How was your week?
Oh, it was all right. Ups
Yeah,
and downs, but
it
how was yours?
was good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been a good week. We're just chipping chipping away the days until the holidays, till Christmas here, and I uh, I tried to the other night. I tried to say that next week was Christmas Eve and kind of put my whole house in a panic, thinking, "Wait a minute, whoa, whoa, whoa! I thought I had another week, not the kids, but the adults in a
Oh
panic."
no, they're like, really?
Yes. So, but it's been a good week. Just enjoying the time with loved ones, and that kind of made us think. As we're getting closer, maybe it'd be fun to just do a conversation about traditions. Maybe the ones you grew up with, the ones you've started, the ones that have dropped off, whatever. Share in the comments as we chat. We'd love to hear your guys' favorite traditions. I don't know about you, but I'm always on the lookout for new and good ideas that I might want to implement into my
Mhm.
family. Um, so yeah, and if you don't know who we are the Resta Girls. I am the daughter, Katie.
And I'm the mother of the mother-daughter duo,
Patty.
Patty.
Someday we're gonna be so slick and polished, and you won't even
We
know.
were like so good there for a while,
I
and
know.
then you always, and I'm like, I
I,
want to do the
I know, and
thing.
I say it a little different every time, and so yeah,
It's all right.
that's
That's
what
what
we
we
are,
do.
right? This is what we do. We're very real. So I think maybe it would be. Do you have anything like traditions from your childhood, going way back? Because
Oh
obviously the
boy.
traditions I had growing up are going to be the same things you had with your
Hmm.
family,
Right.
but going way back.
Well, most Christmases growing up, we made the trek. Sorry.
You're okay.
Um, most Christmases growing up, we made the trek to California to my
Hmm.
grandparents, which was always like a terrifying adventure for me because we had to go over the passes in the
Mm-hmm.
snow, and I don't like from the time I was a little kid. I do not like. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
have some trauma reasons why that I probably should unpack one of these days, but
I mean, at this point in your life, like, just keep carrying that
yeah,
luggage.
I'm not down for that. I don't like
Yeah,
being out in the driving, whether I'm the
yeah.
passenger or the driver.
I don't want to be
I'm
this.
better in the passenger seat, but I'm not a good passenger either. But yeah, we would do that. Like I don't know that it was every Christmas, but I feel like it was most.
Pretty consistent.
Um, and so that was fun. Um, and we had there was certain um decorations that like
Mm-hmm.
stand out to me, things that my mama had, and um they were always out. I was just going through photos and I found a picture of my broken Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a salt and pepper set that was about yay high, and
Very the kitschy like
it's
50s.
very kitschy, and it said Merry Xmas, which was like yuck, I don't like that. But it was like it was something my mother put out every year
Mm-hmm.
from as long as I can remember. It was always out,
Mm-hmm.
and it survived all of my growing up. It survived all of your growing up. It survived most of my grandkids. Um, Guess who took it out? My cat. He was like, boop, knocks it off in one fell swoop,
Not even on
and
accident.
not even an accident. Yeah, and it sat there in broken pieces on a little tray in my kitchen for
I
forever,
remember that. Yeah.
trying to decide if I could fix it or wanted to, and
Mm-hmm.
I finally just swept it in the trash.
Keep the memory, right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, there was little things that I
Right.
remember.
Just
But
creates like the ambiance. I think.
mhm,
I think about like with my childhood, which would be you for your
mhm,
family years. There's certain things we always did. So we had a two-story house,
mhm,
and we always put the garland around the railings with the lights, and that was like to me such like an indicator, like a signifier. When we always decorated, that was a tradition.
mhm,
The day after Thanksgiving
mhm.
was always we get all the totes out and we do all the things, and um, that just made it feel so cozy and so like the holidays. I loved
Yeah.
the stairs, and you'd hang the stockings along the
Mhm,
stairs. Um, and so I think that decorations did play a lot of it. Like
mhm,
when you have the same ones every year, I think that's probably, I look at how I decorate my tree now. I was actually talking to a friend because she has a very beautifully decorated tree, and she has littles, and I think she found a good compromise in that um, most of the tree is kind of a on brand type thing. It's kind of a theme, I guess. But the kids have ornaments that her mom or his mom, so one of the grandmas gets them every year, like an ornament with their picture, so you can see them growing up to the years, and those are their ornaments, and they get to put them on the tree. And so I think it's a nice compromise because that's my only like beef with the beautiful, stunning theme trees is when it's with kids. I'm like, the kids have no ownership in it, and I loved having our tree growing up was very much a free for all. Like I think you tweaked a little bit and you guided a little bit, but for the most part, it was like we stuck our ornaments wherever. And so we had the ownership in that space, and it was just a very eclectic.
I mean, a little elf may or may not have come back later and tweaked it a little bit.
But as a kid, you didn't notice? No. I didn't notice. Yeah, and so
oops, it got knocked off. Well, let's just hang it back right here.
Let's just move it over a little bit. So I think that that's one of the things for me that actually was somewhat of a tradition is letting the kids have some ownership. And so, you know, her tree I love, it's so pretty. And you look at my tree and it's just different, but it's not magazine pretty. It's not Pinterest pretty, but I love it. It's chaotic. It's kids ornaments all over. It's a whole mix. It's the garland hung haphazardly. And, but a part of that tradition is doing the tree together.
Right. And, you know, for me, I've always, you know, we had some matching ornaments growing up. You know, we had like, you know, the red balls or whatever. Right. But there was definitely new things added in. And, but with you growing up, I very much like we started buying ornaments for ourselves every Christmas. We started, you know, buying you guys ornaments every Christmas. And then grandparents bought some. I like the photo.
Me too.
Kind of there's a consistency about it. It can be a little bit different of a little frame thing.
Similar. But, yeah, I love that.
But I think for me, that's one of the things I always looked forward to is because the tree was like, it was opening up this box of treasures. Yeah. And all these memories went up there. And then, you know, when people would come over to your house or even just you walking by, you're like, oh, I remember that. So I love the pretty trees too, but I've never
wanted to put it in my home.
Yeah. Like, right. I always thought, oh, you know, maybe in a different room or something, but I just never did. It's like there was just the one main tree and it told the story of our family.
Yeah. So that's kind of a tradition, I think. In a way, the decorations can be a part of it. And we did start doing the ornaments every year for the kids, but financially we couldn't keep up. Things were expensive. And we have always lived in small spaces. We can't have a big tree. And really quickly, we maxed out our space. The point was just too much. And about that time, I had been given my box of ornaments from my childhood. And I realized how much I didn't care about the vast majority of them. And so they're in a box. They're relegated to, we have these crochet trees that I had grown up that we hang on the door and the kids get to just go bananas on those. And so most of my ornaments ended up in that box. Except for, I think, one or two that I really loved. And so for me, it was kind of like, well, maybe if we do something really special, then we'll get an ornament for that memory. So we did shift a little, which is, I think, the beauty of traditions is that they can shift and change and morph and develop with your families. But then moving from decor, I think we always had a tradition growing up of opening one gift on Christmas Eve. And I loved that as a kid. You would sit and you would shake and you would evaluate
which one,
what one was going to be the one gift you'd open on Christmas Eve, you know, and trying to figure out what it could be, which was a lot of fun. And we get to open it up and you get to play with that. Except if it was a dud and you opened up like pajamas and you're like, oh, dang it. Can I have another? But we kind of morphed that out for our family. We love playing board games together, especially, I mean, a lot of the board games we get are a little bit pricier, so it's hard. So we morphed into, we buy a board game. And that's one family game that we open up and we play the board game together. So we've shifted that, but just that tradition I think is fun because whether you get a lot of gifts or a few gifts, stuff can just get caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something about creating just a little bit more savoring of the gift opening, of the gift giving, and for us,
I like that.
Playing a game together. So that's kind of how we shifted a tradition, but I've always really enjoyed that one.
Well, another one that I started when you were little was buying a new Christmas story every year.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a basket. I would put like a big bow on it, and it would
Mm-hmm.
sit, usually somewhere near the tree. It was just each year it got fuller and fuller. And I mean, there was certain books that you guys loved.
And those the Jolly Postman.
They went
still
back in a tote,
books.
and they stayed put away until the next Christmas. So they weren't on our bookshelf year round. And I did that one for a long time, and even like the first generation of grandkids really got to experience that. But I don't know. It's judging when I downsized and
1 second
gave up
knocking at my door. I had to pause for a second. Go ahead.
And I gave up ownership of those books. It's like there was only like a few. I think you claimed nobody really wanted those books. So that was, it was a little sad for me in the moment, but it is, telling that maybe as much as we were a book loving family, maybe it wasn't as
huge of an impact. I did love it, but I think, like you said, there were certain books I loved and still up to this day. We have that tradition. Again, being in a tiny space. I mean, you could see my house. It is so cozy and full, and every year I'm like, I don't want to put the tree. And then we have a height. Even though we have like a pretty short tree, our house has some foundation stuff. And so there's parts of the house where we can put the tree up and put the star on top. And there's parts of the house where the tree butts into the ceiling. I'm trying to have to bend it down because we have artificial, which is fun. So it's crammed by my front door, kind of shoved in a corner. So I never really have a good spot to put the basket of books. Currently they're just leaned up against the wall. I do still put them out because I think that it was a nice tradition. But I think it's also recognizing that, like, not everything can be cherished.
Well, and I
so
think
it's good to have those things, but don't hold it tightly.
Right, and it's also a reminder that I think when it comes to collecting things, it's easy to just keep collecting. And I had people. It's another thing when you collect, when people know, oh, you do that every year. I had a couple different years, different relatives that would add to that, which. Hey, the more the merrier. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be something you do every year. Maybe just on certain years, there's a book that's just really a standout to you, or you get a special gift, and you just have a small collection, a little snapshot of maybe of a former tradition, that you carry forward.
Yeah, I think that. Traditions are beautiful, and they're beautiful to carry on. It's something sweet, I think, to be able to say, like, my family has done this, like, for generations. And there's so much, I think, my generation cast off a lot of traditions, very non-traditional, and many of the things that we did, from getting married to having families and what that looks like. And so I think a lot of traditions ended up getting kind of lost in translation. So I think there's beauty in continuing traditions, but I think they also can be adapted. And like you said, they can be smaller. They don't have to be this hard thing. One of the things I love, my friend had a tradition. Her mom made homemade cinnamon rolls for Christmas morning. I tried one. It was so good. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And they had a big breakfast. And it was this whole thing. And then they had, like, everybody opened one gift at a time, and it went in a circle. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to do that. Well, I tried making homemade cinnamon rolls one year. And although fresh made cinnamon rolls is great, especially if you don't make it all the time, it's so much work. And I was like, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. on Christmas to try to get it. So we instead started. Sorry, guys. My back hurts.
Rock
and so
on the boat.
I put my foot up on the stool that the camera's on to take some pressure off. Anyway, wobbled the camera. And so now we started something we've done for like close to 10 years now, is an overnight French toast bake, which is so good, so easy. I'm going to try to take my... Oh, he's wobbling again. So we do that because it's something we can make the night before. We put it in the fridge.
Sorry.
We we put it in the fridge, and then we pull it out when we wake up in the morning, and we put it in the oven, and then we'll cook up some sausage to go with it, and it's perfect, easy, real nice. It's an easy breakfast, but it's delicious.
It is very delicious.
And so
I did get to have it once. It was very good.
Christmas morning breakfast, I think, is sweet, but being thoughtful about what works for your family. Mm-hmm. You know, we tried a lot when we first got married, getting Christmas movies every year instead of the games. We found there's only so many Christmas movies before you hit the really hokey ones. We tried, like I said, we did the ornaments at first. And so I think sometimes it's about, especially if you're starting out a young family, play with traditions a little bit. Try some different ones and figure out like what fits good for your family. We tried the opening one gift. Boring. Hated it. I love when it's more chaotic. And so we don't do one gift at a time, but we do take our time with gifts. We don't just, stuff them everywhere. So we're kind of middle ground on that. But I think as a young family, I would recommend just try out all the different ones.
And don't be afraid to, like you said, if it's not working for you, stop. It's like it's not
the point of traditions.
Yeah. And like your kids are probably not going to remember. I mean, they might say, I really appreciated getting a Christmas movie every year, and then you just stopped.
And it ruined my childhood.
Yeah. But I mean,
probably not.
Yeah.
And and it's all different too. There's the classic. I have a friend, a dear friend, who gets fresh Christmas trees, and part of it was she didn't really celebrate Christmas growing up, and then when she was a young, about an adult, she was essentially adopted into a family, and they did the whole thing, like big experiences, going out into the woods and kind of the tree, and it's this whole big thing. And so it was just so magical to her that, like, for her, that's it's not Christmas without that. And I grew up with an artificial tree. What I remember is my dad getting the tree out, and he would sit and he would fluff it so it looked more real. And I mean, he would spend 30, 45 minutes or so fluffing that tree up, and then he would do the lights, and then that was like, then we could go. And it wasn't until I was like a teenager that I was allowed to help him like fluff the tree. So for me, like, getting the tree out, fluffing it, and putting it in lights, it's part of Christmas.
Well, what's interesting about that's your memory, is that I grew up with artificial trees, and your dad grew up with real trees.
Huh.
And he didn't want artificial trees when we got married, and I didn't either, because I'm like, I just thought it was so cool. I had friends that they would go and cut the tree together, and it was this thing. And we drove by, Christmas tree farms and stuff, and and so we did that for a few years. And you were really little. You were really little, and I don't quite remember. Like, I think if I go back through photos, I could probably remember the year and like the why. But for whatever reason, at one point we decided that we weren't doing that anymore,
honey,
and
it's gonna have to wait.
And we invested in a big artificial tree, and we were both cool with that. So it's interesting but you were pretty
darn young.
We
tried for a couple years in our early marriage to do a living Christmas tree. So ours was actually in a pot. And so the idea is you use it for a few years and then you go plant it.
Yeah.
And what I discovered is I absolutely hate real trees for a couple of reasons. One, sap. It actually ruined some of our ornaments. But a lot of ornaments, it's a pain to try to get your ornaments clean, your lights clean. And if you get a sappy tree, it's awful.
Yeah, and I hated all the needles and stuff. And I think even with the living tree, I think we did that like 1 year.
Yeah. And then the second reason is I like being able to put my ornament where I want it. And on a real tree, you are limited to what branch will hold your ornament. On an artificial tree, you're like, this branch,
I'm just going to bend it.
Like, my thing's too heavy, I just bend the branch up, and then it pulls it straight, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So, And so it's different for everybody, right? So, I mean, I think that we are trying to start a new tradition this year, actually. The last few years, we've just bought the cheap little, like, advent calendars at the grocery store, that tiny piece of chocolate. And my daughter actually got an Advent drawer thing from the shop. And I claimed it for Christmas, and then she can have it back. So this year we filled it with the drawers with either like little pieces of paper to go find little gifts or some money. I tried to stay away from treats because they just get it everywhere.
Yeah.
And my kids, I don't know about yours, my kids are bumholes when they have too much sugar. Like, it's just awful. They bicker and ugh. So we did that this year. And me and my husband were actually just talking yesterday about how we want to grow it and improve it. That we have one experience that he came up with. And so I think next year it's going to not just be getting things, it's going to be like having experiences.
That's nice.
So
and
I think I will say, grow that tradition.
They seem like they're really enjoying it, especially the ones that are a little bit of a treasure hunt to go find it. I mean, they were, there was one day that it's, what did you write on the slip? Something about it. It was the one in the
Mama plays
player.
Her records, or Mama plays her music.
And like they came and got me because they had like been all over. They knew it was there. That had to be where it was, but they went all around it and looked, and there was odds and ends sitting on top of it, and I went, I wonder. I wouldn't think she would put it inside, but maybe. And so we opened it up, and they're sure enough sitting all over the record. Stickers. And I was like, okay, be careful, we don't scratch her record.
I know.
But the kid
said, Grammy said, well, Mommy's brave to do that. I was like, well, I can hear the judgment in that sentence. But yeah, so I think it's fun. Even, if you haven't done a lot of traditions, it's okay. I mean, my oldest is 12. My youngest is 6. So, I mean, they're already, half grown, some of them, and so, or over half grown. And I don't think it's too late to start traditions and to be intentional about, because I think traditions should be about being intentional about what are you wanting to invest in, whether it be your children and what do you want to cultivate in them? What kind of spirit do you want in them? Or whether it be with friendships, or maybe your tradition is to go and serve somewhere, I mean, I know soup kitchens, they all get flooded with people this time of year, but there's always somewhere to serve. And so I think it's, maybe that's whatever your tradition is, I think it should be reflective of what you care about.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, sometimes not have the spontaneous and not having a tradition can become a tradition in itself. Some families, they like to take a trip somewhere every year. Some people, they have a cabin that they go to every year. It's like that's their thing. Is they go, but maybe it's every year we take another trip somewhere else, or so it doesn't have to be all these
Christmassy structure.
Right. It can be the non-traditional, and like what you said, that's your guideline is something that reflects your values,
for your family or
yourself, and
yeah. So I think even looking past Christmas, there's a lot of really great Christmas traditions, but even looking past that to New Year's, one of our traditions has been to get Chinese food. So I think and that's arguably not that original. I know. I like to think we came up with it.
Chinese New Year. And we didn't really start that till you guys were adults.
Yeah, we weren't. Yeah, and so, I think it's never too late to start them, and it's never too late to just do something different and do something new. I know that seems like the opposite of tradition to say do something new, but I think that's how traditions start, right? They start when you do it, and then you do it again. So find what, and you enjoy for your family. I think some of my favorite memories were centered around some of those traditions. I think about growing up, you would always make cider, but you'd put like the spices in the pot and you could smell it simmering. And that above anything else, probably, like, it's one of those things that just immediately like evokes core memories, as my Gen Z sister-in-law would say. And core memory activated. But sorry. Then when I became older and we had the shop, you would always have the hot cider, and that's something my husband even, like, he loved your hot cider. He's like, Ma, she makes the best hot cider. And so I think that's something I want to try to do this year specifically, is actually make some, because we haven't had it in like 2 years now. So it can be food or activities or gifts or decorations. But it's what about, I mean, I think it's what about makes you feel cozy, at home, cherished, and just being intentional with the people you have and the time you have. And yeah. You have any other?
The only other thing that, the thoughts that were running through my mind is just, being aware of the season you're in too. Because some years just require, a break from tradition. Or at least a paring down. Don't I don't know. I just spent so many years of your childhood like with this vast to-do list because this is Christmas. I have to bake all these cookies. I have to bake all these different things. We have to do this. We have to do this. Check, 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 check. And at the end of the day, the end of the season, I had a list of things checked off, but I was tired and wasn't always fully present in those things.
That's the best.
So
being present.
Yeah. So, whether if you're in a busy season or like the season I'm in now, I'm in a season of, last year was already a transitional season because, we uprooted our lives and we were on the road. And so we kind of broke from our old traditions, which we'd had already a little bit because the flock had started spreading their wings and scattering. But this year it's a whole new level. And so, just being kind to yourself in the season you're in. Don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself. Focus on the things that matter, that bring you joy. I had plans even with grief. I was going to do this, this, and this. And I went to do it, and I just was like, why am I doing this? This is just stupid. It like means nothing to me. And maybe next year I'll feel different, or maybe I've turned a page, and I don't know. But I've been able to piecemeal a bit at a time, trying to just find those things that are going to move my needle a little bit forward, fill my cup a little bit, and letting go of the other things. Yeah. So that's the only other thought I really had is I think this is the first year that I've truly been in that season of grief and loss during the holiday season. And it's so easy to it's holiday season time and get all focused on all the things. It's just being mindful that, if you're in that season or if you know someone in that season, I'm grateful my family is so full of, they hold me close, but they give me the space. And so I'm included, but there's no pressure to, so we'll see. We haven't quite made it to the finish line.
We're army crawling.
But just being mindful of those things.
Well, I think it's important, when you talk about the holidays, because it is hard for some people who are either freshly experiencing loss or it's just a really hard time of year. Just thinking, we went to look at a big light display recently, and we were walking along, and it was like, I didn't even really want to go, and you came, and we were just, we were looking at the lights and trying to enjoy it. And at one point I did end up crying with my husband. And another point I said something like, I think I asked if you were okay or something. And you were like, this is jolly as I'm going to get. And I was like, no, it's good. It's good. That's fine. You don't have to be jolly. I just want to make sure, like, if you want to dip, we can go. Yeah. But otherwise, and so I think just having that grace is really important to try to include them, but have really low expectations of them. Just extra love and extra grace, because the beauty of holidays is there is so many traditions, especially centered around family, but that also makes it really hard because all those traditions centered around family, and now there's a piece missing. So yeah, just hold your loved ones close. Enjoy the holidays.
And then the other thing is, if you're in a season of lean, just remember, I feel like we've kind of touched on this without actually saying it, but I mean, there's so many things that you can do to create special memories. $0. They're just your time and your presence. And so it can be easy when you feel like you're cash thin to become just Scroogey and I can't afford this whole commercial thing anyway. But
I think that brings me to one last little like tuck-in I have, like Mama Bear tuck-in. That was something I worked at a daycare, and it was something I picked up somewhere along the way in there before I had kids. So I've always been super intentional with my kids. Your gift from Santa tradition. Yeah. Santa doesn't bring $200 video game systems. Santa doesn't bring like those premium gifts. Make them from you. Make them from you, because for the families that are struggling and they're in lean, and then Santa brings their kid a teddy bear, but he brought your kid a new Xbox. Like, yeah, it makes it harder, and I think it's not a hard transition. Like, take the credit. Yeah, take the credit for the super duper cool gift, and just do something simple. Make sure Santa's bringing something simple, just so that the families that are in lean, the unemployed, or they've had a loss, or the kids in foster care, like everyone's feeling equal treatment from good old Saint Nick. Yeah, I just think that that's a really easy way. If you have been blessed financially and you're able to buy these really amazing, expensive gifts, do it. No judgment. Spend the money. But if you just shift it, write a different name on the tag, it doesn't potentially harm someone else. And make it harder for them, because let's keep the magic alive for all the kids.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that's, I had a couple soapboxes. We shared some memories.
We did.
It was a good chat, guys.
One of our other traditions that we didn't touch on, which I'm really surprised we didn't touch on, is Christmas earrings.
Oh, yeah. We're literally wearing Christmas earrings.
Yeah. So every year, kind of our girl thing, when we've been together, it's been hit and miss a few years.
Yep. See, mine are big Christmas cocktails.
And these that I'm wearing today, I have some cocktail ones too. Oh, that's really hard to see.
You gotta just turn a little there towards the light. And then
we put the scarf under it too. Does that help?
No, it's
hidden now.
There you go.
They're little, my husband bought me these for me. Gosh, we still had the shop. And there was a little Christmas shop that opened across the street just for the Christmas season, and they had like different local makers and things, and there was a young gal that made these. Yeah.
So yeah, our tradition is to get outrageous, fun Christmas earrings. The ladies in the Baker fam. So we did that this year, kind of renewed. That one dropped off for a few years, so we just kind of renewed it this year with one of my daughters, the only one brave enough to have her ears pierced yet. Yeah, that is a fun one. I don't know how I forgot it.
I was watching your little glasses swing there, and I was like, oh yeah, we never talked about that.
So yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful week. We look forward to seeing you next week, and we hope you have a safe and a happy holiday.
Bye,
friends.
Bye.